Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
I heard you say on one of your videos, I've been watching quite a few of them, but you said something about making the featured image a square, you know, like a 500 by 500, I think you said. I don't actually remember. But so does that...
The featured image, I personally use the blog banner, Pinterest. I mean, not Pinterest, in Canva. It's called the blog banner. I don't know what the sizing is of it, but that's the one that I've always used for my featured image.
Okay, so that just, so you only had to put one copy of your image on your blog, because I was doing like a square and a rectangle.
Where would you put the square?
In the, you know, in the SEO where it had, well, it was in the featured image block of my web
and
page.
Is that inserted into your actual post, like when you're looking at the post, or is that just like a blog roll?
That's just for the blog roll.
Yeah, so let me open mine up. So a featured image, I'm sorry, the blog banner is a horizontal instead of a square. Now, depending on how you have your thumbnail set up, like for your theme, like how it looks like. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was the thumbnail. I'm sorry, the thumbnail is what I'm asking about.
Well, what I'm saying is, so like, so in the blog roll, right? So you have a horizontal, you have the title, you have the precept. You can adjust how this looks. Some people have an image to the side and then the text next to it. It just depends on how you have your set up. But either way, this will crop. And so one, there's no need in making multiple images because you got better things to do with your time.
Exactly.
So one image, multiple purposes. And so this image, so like in mine, okay, so this is a blog roll. So it's like an archive. So it's going to put it like it is here. But in the actual post, mine don't auto insert. I know some people's themes, whatever they put for the featured image, puts it above the title, right? And that's totally fine. It auto inserts it. I don't do that on Kingdom. So that same image, after I upload it into the featured image little block, then I come over here and I uploaded a couple of paragraphs down. And then when you share this, on Facebook, it's going to, well, let me do it in another. So when you share it as as a post, like you're the original poster, it'll have the full image. Let me make this only me so people aren't like, why is she sharing harvest stuff right now? So then if you share it as a comment, it crops it to a thumbnail and it crops to the center. And so whatever picture you choose to use, always try to make sure the focal point is sort of centered so that when it crops it, and this is why I'm against putting words, like some people write the title on the featured image. That's just redundant because the title is under it and then it looks messy. But more so when it crops it, usually it doesn't crop all the words right? So just use one image. And then if you want to put it in the post, that's fine. Just use the same one because it's already right there in your media library.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what I'm having a problem with, is that I put a Bible verse on my image. So it does lose some of it.
Yeah. So for your featured image, you don't want that. The featured image should be clean because again, like, let me go here. Right. This is clean. The title is right there. Right. So if you put a verse on it, on the featured image, well, then it just becomes messy, right? Because you got all these words and they're not always going to crop properly. Some sides of the words are going to be cut out. So just use a clean image for that. But in the post itself, if you want to, so like in my devotionals, there's my featured image, but I always put one of the Bible verses on a Instagram because I send these out and people can download them and share them on Instagram if they want to, or Facebook, whatever. So you can put another image in the post that actually has a verse on it, if that's just for decorative purposes, but you just don't want to put it on that featured image because then it just makes it messy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that answers
And
my
more
question.
so because when you share it, the thumbnail crops and
Yes.
like 99% of the time it crops half the words off the image. So then it just looks like a hot mess.
Right.
It's like, I can't even see the picture because of these half words.
Right. Well, thank you very much.
All right. So what is everybody working on this week? So we have Elaine is with us. Anybody need help with anything in particular?
Well, I'm updating. I'm going back updating some of my old posts. Plus, I'm still, writing new contents as well. And you said we can go in ARAF on our old posts, I believe. I don't want to get out of content, and go and see whether it was volume. I'm trying to think of what you said, whether it had any volume to it or something like that. How did you do that? How did you go in ARAF to do that?
So sharing, it's important to know that it's not going to work if you don't have anything ranking yet. But if you go, so I'm just gonna, what a women, a, oh wait, you're an org, right? I'll get it right.
Oh, you're doing good.
So I'm just gonna pull this one, even though it's the newest one, right? But it's more gonna be your older ones. And if you have anything that's really less than a year old, chances are it's not gonna produce anything. But you go into AREFs, and again, I have a lot more stuff that I can see than you probably can because I have the paid version, but you will go over here to organic keywords. And then you'll plug that whole URL in right here and change this to exact. Now, just to show you, because obviously you don't, yours doesn't have anything. Let me pull one from up my site. Oh, this bird keeps hitting my window. So let's just do this one because it's right here. So like this is a really older post. It was like from 2019. So this tells me everything that it's currently indexed for, all of these keywords, the approximate volume of the keyword, my average position. So number 7 is like towards the bottom of page 1. And so this one I could probably do some updating on because I have all these words that are page 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I go in and update this post to add a little more with some of these words in it, like maybe sections, just add a little more related to these, then I can increase where like this one, God's intention for marriage is on position 57. That's like page 6. So if I can get it to page 1 somewhere, so like 1 through 7 or 8, then I can start getting more traffic to this post for when people type in this query. But it only, some sites, even sites that have been around for a while, won't find anything just because everything they wrote was their opinion and not really stuff people are searching for. But if your site is less than a year old, you still may not see very much, if anything. So I usually say wait until a post is at least 12 months old and then start checking it, because the 1 year mark is kind of the sweet spot for when Google really like indexes. I mean, you'll get some stuff indexed before then, but maybe like one word here or there. So if you're running it through and you're just not seeing anything, then just it's not been in there long enough to simmer.
Okay, thank you.
All right, y'all gotta bring me some questions today, or I'll be coming up with all kind of crazy homework for everyone. I'm so excited. We start our next boot camp next week. Well, orientation is next week. So been busy getting all that stuff ready. I have 16 students, so I'm really, plus any of the past students that are gonna jump in, but let's see. Everyone's doing okay with their site speed. Web Core Vitals. Jeannie says she'll be there. Let me close this. Go back over to this one. Okay. Yeah, there was another, so WordPress updated this week. I have not updated Kingdom Bloggers, but I did update my new site simply because I didn't have any sidebars on that one. But it seems that was the big part of the update, like the sidebar, how you add stuff, the widgets in your sidebar. I haven't really gone in there yet to, let me see if I can pull it up on to look at it yet. So if you have not updated the WordPress update, don't. Let it work its bugs out right now, and then they'll release an update to the update. If you were SiteGround, sometimes SiteGround automatically updates it even though you tell it not to. Just check your site, see if there's any weird stuff going on. But hold on one second. Let me see if I can find. I was afraid to do it on Kingdom Bloggers just because I just didn't want to run into any issues. I'm like, let somebody else work out. But I hear people saying that some people who did update automatically are having issues. So let me see, share. So from what I understand, I'm going to go into a post here. So I don't currently have a sidebar. So let's add a sidebar, right? And see. Main sidebar. So this is it right here. So instead of just like the way it used to look, which the way it used to look, and some of yours may still look this way. I'll just open it up in mine. Apparently there's a plugin you can install that gives you the classic sidebar customizer. So this is considered the classic, that's a widget. Where's, oh. Sidebar. No. Sidebar. Oh, there we go. So this is the classic sidebar, right? So you go into it and you have each of these, you add new widget, add new widget. This is now what it looks like. So if you don't like this, or if it's not working for you, there is a classic sidebar widget plugin you can now install that'll kind of like we did for those of you who were using Classic Editor before and then Guten came around and you still want to use Classic. It's kind of like that. So you can install that. I have not done that, so I can't testify to whether it works or not. But so with the old sidebar, you just add a new widget, whatever you want it to be. So this one, oh, here it's called Classic Widgets Plugin. That's what it's called. Got it. So any widgets that you already had will be there, but they'll look a little weird. Search the site. So let's add, and so instead of adding a widget, you're adding a block and then a widget and the block. So let's say I wanted to add, I don't know, what do I need? My social follow buttons. Social, where are my social buttons? Oh, there we go. What's today? ISIS. Astra social profiles. Maybe that's my. Oh, add. Add. Oh, wait. Okay. Link. Add a profile. Facebook. I've never used this widget before, so I don't know how it works. Choose icon. There we go. Facebook. And then I guess if I had my link, paste. So in other words, instead of just adding the widgets like you did before, you got to add it as a block, just like you do in the editor. So it may take you a while to get accustomed to it. I don't currently have a sidebar on this site yet, so I'm not too concerned about it. But that was the biggest thing so far that I've seen. There were probably some other things that happened in the update, but there were like just minor things. This was the major change. So when people log in, they're like, oh my God, where did my widgets go? They turned into blocks. So in the same way that you write in the Gutenberg editor to write a post using the different blocks, you now create your sidebar in that same way. So eventually I'll get in here and actually create a sidebar for this. But for now, I'm just pumping out content. So
it looks good, Lynn.
Thank you.
It looks real good.
I'm so excited. This site, y'all, is like mid-May is when I launched it. So we're going on 2 months now. I already have 50 organic keywords. I'm getting a little bit of traffic to it already.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Nothing to brag about, but as far as traffic, but I have, these are all considered top pages that have gotten some traffic. I have some featured image spots. So yeah, it's exciting to see that one grow so quickly. But right now I'm just knocking out the content. I'm not trying to get it all laid out and looking pretty. I just, once I get, actually, I am working on a new front page for it. Now that I have at least 5 or so posts in each category, I'm creating an actual homepage design to make it look a little more organized, I guess. So yeah. All right, let me close all this. All right. So seriously, y'all have nothing for me this week? What are we, July, the end of July? Everyone should be starting to work on, well, you should have started if you're publishing like fall themed content. For those of you who publish things about fall, even Bible study stuff, you could figure in like your Bible verses about fall and autumn poems and stuff like that. But now would be the time to start publishing that stuff. What else? Oh, let me look. There were a lot of questions in the group this week. I'm gonna figure out what's wrong with her thing there. Okay. So I did a Q&A about freebies and creating products, and there were a lot of questions. And kind of my my answer was kind of the same to most of them. So Mindy says, how to know what freebie to make with little to no traffic or groups. In other words, she doesn't have her own Facebook group and her site's not getting any real traffic. And so she's asking, what freebie should she make? And then another person says, I have a motherhood Christian-based blog and I don't have any good ideas for freebies. I know I need a good one. So here's the thing, and I've said this before, and I know this isn't an answer people like, because like people want to answer they can do something with. Like, and my answers are typically telling them don't do it. So again, my goal is to help you be successful. So sometimes you got to start asking different questions instead of, you know, the same one. So anyway, so with freebies and creating your own products, if you don't have any real traffic, and when I say real, I mean traffic that is coming to you via Pinterest and like organic searches like Google, Yahoo, Bing. If your traffic is only from like you do in Facebook share threads where you click on mine, I'll click on yours, that's not real traffic. Please stop doing that. So if you are not getting consistent traffic, then you should not be spending time creating freebies to build your email list. You should not be building an email list. So a few things. So number one, and I've said this before, your blog, for it to be successful and fruitful, you need a plan. This isn't a, hey, Monday morning, what am I going to do on my blog today? That's not a plan, right? I mean, that is a plan, but it's definitely not a good plan. Anything we want to be successful at, we have to have a plan, like in writing. You want to lose weight? Don't just go into the gym and pick a machine, right? Don't just like willy-nilly it. You got to have a solid plan. For your first year, that plan should be all about creating solid SEO optimized content. Because if you don't have traffic coming to your site, there is nobody to sign up for those freebies. There is nobody to join your email list. There is nobody to buy the product that you spent hours upon hours making. Like you will end up defeated because you think everything you did was in vain. Well, kind of it was because you did it out of order, right? When we do it out of order, it doesn't work. And so your first year should be all about, you know, that song, Meghan Trainor, All About That Bass. Isn't that what that song's called? It's all about that bass. I'm not a singer, but it's all about the traffic, right? All about the traffic, 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 traffic. Everything you do in that first year, before you do it, say, how is this going to bring me traffic? If you're making a freebie, how is it bringing you traffic? Well, it's for my subscribers. Do you have any subscribers? No, then it's not bringing you traffic. You have to have that conversation with yourself for every task that you set out doing as it relates to your blog, right? If it's not going to generate traffic, don't do it. So fast forward. So aside from not having traffic to sign up for said things, let's say you have a little bit of traffic, like you got just enough that you maybe get 1 or 2 people signing up here or there. Okay, the one thing people tell me over and over, I just have so much on my plate. I can't keep up with everything. I got to do this and I got to do that. And it's Facebook and Twitter and blog posts and And I'm like, no, you don't have to do all those things. If you are already overwhelmed in your schedule, especially if you work outside the home, especially if you homeschool, you have, you know, all those life things that we do separate from our blogs. If you're already struggling to keep up with what you need to do, why on earth would you add something else to your daily to-do list? And here's what I mean by that. When you get people to sign up for your email, well, one, why? What is your goal? because people said to build an email list. I actually had somebody tell me that one time when I said, why are you building an email list? They said, well, they said that's what I'm supposed to do. Okay, that's not why we have an email list. Your email list is to 1, connect with your readers, 2, drive more traffic back to your website, 3, if you're trying to monetize, you can use it also for email marketing. But again, if you want it to be fruitful, you need a plan. What are you going to email them every week, right? Like, what is the point of your emails? What are you going to talk about? People don't just sign up for something like, I wonder what she's going to say this week. Like, people don't sign up for that. They get enough junk in their email. People join my list because I send out blogging tips. That's the point of my email list. My face one is more the spiritual nourishment, right? If you're a Bible study blogger like Megan, she does Bible study stuff every week, right? So there's a point to it. But she still had to create a plan for that point. What are you going to say every week? What is, are you doing a weekly Bible study? Are you sending tips to encourage new moms? Like, what is the point? So as they start joining your list, well, now you have to set aside time to write those emails. And they need to be interesting. Don't send an email where you're just going on and on and on about your life. I mean, I know sometimes mine go on and on and on about my garden and squirrels, but people enjoy that, so it works. But, you've got to take time to, like, if you think of your email list as like you're sitting down to have coffee with these people, like you're trying to pour into them spiritually. And if you're not a Christian blogger, whatever the purpose of your blog is, right? But for us, if it's about prayer, if it's about Bible study, whatever, this isn't let me just knock this out in a minute and then send. No, you want to put thought into it. But more importantly, and I was on my membership call last night, and one of my girls, she is now getting a lot of responses to her emails. And she's like, I love it. I'm so honored. I have people from all over the world emailing me back. But I now have to add an additional slot of time to my day to sit down and respond to them. If you don't already have enough time to do what you're doing now, when are you going to fit in the time to respond to your readers? It's rude if you don't, especially if they're pouring their heart out to you, if you're asking them about if you need prayers and let me tell you, when they do start writing back, they're going to put it all out there. It's like, if you were a pastor or minister at church and someone comes up to you and just lays it all out on it, right? People do that in their emails. She sets time aside now each evening, like when the kids she has smaller kids to go to bed, to sit down and reply to them. The more email subscribers you get, the more replies you're going to have to schedule, right? And because we're dealing with prayer and stuff like that, you don't want to say, I answer all my emails on Friday, right? Some people might need an immediate prayer from you or something. So back to the original point of this, why would you add all that to your plate when you haven't even figured out what you're doing with your blog yet? Get your blog going. Focus on the traffic, because then you're going to bring the right people to your blog who are interested in what you have to offer. You can take the data from that search traffic. So I always say in your fourth quarter, look at your traffic for the year. What were your top 5 traffic posts? What blog posts were generating the most organic traffic? What were those posts about? Use that information to kind of figure out what you could create for them to put in those posts. Again, that's where more of the people are coming. So that's where you want to put the bait, for lack of a better word, right? The bait is to get them to sign up. So if you just put some general out there, it's like, whatever. But if it's sort of tied to whatever they came here for, so let's say, I don't know, you had something, a Bible study, something. And so that's your top post. And so maybe you create a Bible reading plan with study guides for every month of the year. That would be a great opt-in. They came for Bible study, so you create a free Bible study, something to give them to get on your list. Don't just, and I say this because I always see the question in a lot of groups, hey ladies, I'm trying to create a freebie for my audience. What have you guys used that works? That's wrong. Their audience is different from your audience. Like for me, if you ask me that question, I'm like, well, my blogging tips, that's my opt-in. Get blogging tips from me. But is that going to work for you? No. A Bible reading plan might work for a Bible study blogger, but a mom blogger who's really trying to pour into moms and spiritual nourishment for moms and stuff to help them with their kids, while you may get people to sign up for it, because Bible reading plans are pretty popular, that's not what the point of your ministry is. You're not a Bible study blogger. So you'll get people who sign up for the reading plans, but once you start emailing them all the mommy stuff every week, they're going to be like, yeah, my kids are grown. I just came here for the Bible study. They're not your people. That's my point. They're signing up for something that's not directly even second cousin related to what those weekly emails are about, right? So you have to create a freebie specific to your audience based on why they're coming to you. In other words, the queries that brought them to your blog post. And then what you email them every week should tie into that. This is where everybody goes wrong. They throw some random thing out there. It's like, well, this thing is converting. I'm getting lots of subscribers, but they all unsubscribe. Well, then what you're offering doesn't relate to what you're telling them every week in those emails. I signed up for something once a long time ago. It was a really great thing. And then she started sending me like the emails every week were about for new moms, like with babies. And I'm like, my kid's about to graduate. I don't care about babies, right? That's not my season. I don't want to hear about that every week. So I unsubscribed. The opt-in she had, I don't even remember what it was. It was a great opt-in, like it was very helpful, but that was the wrong opt-in for her to use. And so you have to figure out what freebies tie directly into you, your ministry, your audience, and the plan for what you're going to use your email for every week. So if you haven't figured all that out, then we shouldn't even be having this conversation. You need to go back to writing blog posts, right? So, okay. So, and the same thing with creating products to sell. Who are you selling them to? If you don't have traffic coming by your place, you're not going to sell them. Now, I know some people sell on Etsy and stuff, and that's fine. But I'm saying, if you're just getting started, you're like, I want to create this and this and this, put that on hold. Focus on your foundation. Your foundation matters. Because then, if you have the foundation of traffic coming, you bring the right people, they're naturally going to want to buy the stuff because that's why they came here. You're not going to have to pay for ads to market your stuff on Facebook or Google. Like, I have never paid for an ad for anything. Why? I don't need to. I have free advertising by way of the SEO traffic that's coming to my site. And so put those product creation ideas on the back burner until at least you've been working on your blog for a year. And when I say working on your blog, like you've been writing SEO content, and at the end of that year, you can actually go in and see that you're getting organic traffic. Now, someone had asked, like a few people, what do I consider consistent traffic? Like, what amount of traffic do I need before I can start trying to do affiliate marketing or building an email list or whatever? So there's not like an exact number. If you tell me that, well, I am getting 1,000 visitors a month to my website from Google. Okay. I would say, do you have any posts, like 1 or 2 posts that are accounting for like 50% of that or more? If not, if it's like a few to this post, a few to this post, and all together that makes 1,000 a month, that's not good. Because one single post, you need a lot of people coming to that one post, because, you know, for every 1,000 people that visit or walk in a store, how many actually buy something, right? Like, it's not going to be 100% conversion. It'll never be 100% conversion. And so if you just have like 4 or 5 people visiting this post, 4 or 5 people visiting that post, and this one and this one, and all together that makes up 1,000 visitors a month, I'd say it's not the right time for you to start worrying about affiliate marketing or building an email list. Now, if you're getting 1,000 visitors a month and you have 1 or 2 posts that are generating 750 of those sessions, then I'd say, yeah, start with those 2 posts. What are they about? Find something that you can create, whether it's a subscriber opt-in or it's a product, whatever, or affiliate marketing, and work on the search query for that post to decide what you're going to make with it, right? Now you got a lot of people coming to that one post. the chance of it converting is pretty high. So there's not like a magic number. It needs to be consistent, and it needs to be, I would say, substantial. But what qualifies as substantial? Again, 500, 1,000. But that each month it's more than it was the month before. But if you have your blog overall is having less than 500 a month, or even less than 1,000 sessions a month, unless one of them is like accounting for all of it, I would say it's still not time for you to start on to phase 2. Like phase 1 is not complete. Phase 1 is the foundation, and it's not complete. Now, if you're getting 2,500 sessions a month and 1,000 of those go to one post, and yeah, that would be a great time to start, and start with that one post. Let me see. Oh, Shannon, I was actually supposed to do this for her. So Shannon says, my #1 blog post is about being rooted in scripture. However, the freebie is not converting. It's one of my first freebie, which is basically a tracking sheet that features 66 books of the Bible. I know that I could possibly do scripture writing plan, but any ideas about something? So I wanted to look at the post for a couple of things. So being rooted in Christ, 3 scriptures to remember. Okay, so first, well, okay, couple of things. Remember, most of your traffic's going to come from a mobile device. I did visit this post on my phone. The first thing I see is this picture, and then I see this, and then I see this picture, and then I finally get to the text. So always check your blog post from a phone and make sure that it's, I guess, user friendly. Like, people don't come here to look at pictures. They came here to ask, like, to get the question answered. What does rooted in Christ mean, right? And so, and actually that was another thing. I wanted to see what the search query that was bringing the traffic, because that's important too. Organic. Rooted in Christ, that was the main one. So if somebody's looking that up on Google, they're probably wondering, what does it mean to be rooted in Christ, and how do I become root, right? Like what is it and how do I do it? That's what they're looking for, right? So based on why people are coming to this post, #1, talking about the opt-in. Well, #1, this is a very busy post, and I don't mean to be mean. I just need to point these out. So anybody looking, if you have all this other stuff going on too, you can understand. Look at it on your phone. It's very important that you look at your blog post from your phone, because how it looks here is not how it looks there, and more people are going to visit it from your phone. It needs to be easy for them to read, easy for them to know what to click on, easy for them to find the answer that they were searching for. So being rooted in Christ, being rooted and grounded in love. I would say this probably needs a little work on answering the question of being rooted in Christ. Like, what does it mean, right? But to the opt-in, so you have this form here, and then you have this pretty thing here. Well, one, it's at the very end of the post, and chances are they probably got bored with the post because it wasn't quite answering the question that they were seeking, right? If I was looking up rooted in Christ, I want to know what it means in, I don't know. It's hard for me to explain this. Like, in simple terms, not a lot of Christianese speak is what I like to say. Because I remember as a new Christian, everything I would look up, I'm like, I have no idea what this means. I have not read the Bible. I'm still learning. Could you break it down into me to Bible for Dummies, right? That's what people are looking for. So to put your freebie at the very, 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 very end of the post, you risk them not even getting to it. So she has this one here, and this is just a general subscribe thing. But here is her opt-in. Shannon, if you're watching, at first glance, it looks like something I'm supposed to take an action on, but two problems. Your clickable link is not like can you tell that's clickable? Joyce, can you tell this is clickable just by looking at it? It's gray, right?
No.
Right, it just looks like the text, right?
Right.
So if for anything, you should have a button here, join now, whatever. But this is digging into God's word is a key to becoming deeply rooted. I heard from one Bible scholar, the more we understand God, pick up a few freebies in the subscriber library. Okay, so you mentioned that your freebie for this, the freebie for the opt-in, was a books of the Bible thing. I'm not seeing it, right? If that's what the freebie is, then put that on here. Like these two pictures are pretty. This is a tracker, but it should say books of the Bible list and tracker or something, right? You don't even say that here. So they don't really know what they're getting. If I don't know what I'm getting, I'm not going to sign up for it. Even if I wanted to sign up for it, I'm not quite sure how because I don't see a button, right? How we present it is very, very, very important. But let's back up a minute. So yes, the more we understand God's love and design, we can grow spiritually, right? That's, becoming deeply rooted and all that is learning God's word. But how does that, I don't know, a books of the Bible reading plan probably isn't going to convince me to sign up. That's not what, I didn't come here for books of the Bible. I come here to understand about being deeply rooted. So maybe something more along like a deeply rooted reading plan with actual step-by-step kind of to guide this person. Again, think of the brand new Christian who doesn't know anything. If I'm looking up what is deeply rooted, I am not a lifelong Christian, right? We can agree on that. And so you got to think in the newbie Christian mindset, what can help them become deeply rooted? Not a books of the Bible list, not a list of freebies that I don't really even know what it is. You want to tie it directly in, maybe a deeply rooted devotional that has some question and answers that they can, like a daily reading with the questions that they can apply. That would be a great opt-in for somebody looking how to become deeply rooted. So number one, it's too far down at the bottom. Number two, it's not presenting properly. In other words, there's not a button. I don't realize, it took me a minute to realize you could actually click on this. The presentation is not, like this picture doesn't match this. Like, tell me what it is. Tell me what I'm getting. Don't just say pick up some great stuff. I don't want to risk it because last time I signed up for great stuff, I got spammed in my email, right? Like people want to know, show them and tell them what they are getting. But more importantly, make sure this freebie ties into why they came here in a way that brand new Christian can truly understand. A bunch of stuff with just spouting out verses here and there. I don't understand that. I'm still learning about it. I don't understand. Give me a step-by-step guide to how to become deeply rooted with daily readings, actual questions to help me understand what I'm reading. That would kind of make more sense, right? So the last thing on this is once I did figure out I could click on this, it just says the same thing. Still, you're not telling me anything. Put the pictures of whatever it is. If it's the reading plan, people love pictures. Show them the goods, right? Access to the subscriber library with free resources like the Bible reading tracker for your faith walk. Again, and please, Shannon, I don't want you to think that I'm like trying to be harsh. These are the parts that cause you not to accomplish the goal you're trying to set. And so the only way I know how to be is blunt, but I'm bluntly with love, okay? So think hard about your avatar, think hard about why they are coming, again, back to the deeply rooted, the search query that got them here. In and of itself, the search query means nothing. What is that person seeking when they type that in? What are they looking for, right? again, with this particular one, their chances are they're wondering what it is and how do I do it? Like, I'm a new Christian. I don't even know what this stuff means. Please show me. So create something that can help them do that, and they will sign up. But also on the, when they click on it, I have a whole tutorial in this. I'll find it and try to tag you on it. These landing pages in MailerLite are not very fruitful. It's better to create an actual landing page on your blog that has the form they can sign up to, and then you tie that to your form. It's actually a really simple process, but this way you can share, people can share this freebie with others in a way that will send your blog traffic and not the MailerLite company traffic, because this just sends traffic to MailerLite, right? And it's a one and done it. They either sign up or they don't. And if they don't, the conversation's over. And so there's a way to create a page on your blog that has the form, but also has other things on it that they could click around and read more to maybe get to know you better. So I hope that all made sense. And I would, again, once you get all that done, this form style, the way you have it is actually very pretty. It just, again, it needs a button, it needs something, it needs the right picture. I would put it up higher in the post, maybe about halfway down before they have a chance to lose interest, right? When we put the goods at the very end, we risk them never seeing it. Okay, that's all I have to say. What's that, Joyce?
I say something. I'm looking at, it's highlighted in red, what it means to be deeply rooted. And under that, you have how to be a woman of faith. You click on that.
This one?
Yeah. And okay.
Yeah, these are, she just has some, it says also on the web. Oh, that's a different website. Oh, okay, I see. So I'm glad you pointed this out. So a couple of things. You have internal, you have external links. External links are important, but are all of these? Your goal is to keep people on your site. Keep them plugging around your site, reading what you have to offer. Putting also on the web, you're sending traffic away, right? You actually sent them away before you even had the opportunity to get them on your email list. So again, order matters, right? When we talk about the order of blogging, doing your blog, then doing email, order matters. You are sending them away from your site 3 times before you even have a chance to get them on your email list. And I know you have this one up here. Reality is most people aren't going to sign up for this because it's too generic. That's just the reality of it. So if you want to link to something that's relevant to the topic and it's on someone else's website, that's fine. Do it up somewhere in the content as a link, you know, we call that a passive link click. But if you're going to put something here at the very end, you might make these all posts on your site. Be sure to also read, and here's some other things related to being deeply rooted or related to Bible study or whatever. Keep the links to other people's websites to like 1 per post. Again, your goal is to get them to you so you can pour into them so they'll join your email list, so they'll click your links and buy your products and affiliate marketing, all that stuff. So keep them here. You do need external links. External links do build SEO juice, but only put 1 or 2, and only when they really, really matter, right? Also, so when I clicked on this one, CSS not secure, make sure who you're linking to, that the websites are secure. This site is not secure, so I would not be linking to it. See, this one's secure. So just some things to keep in mind. I mean, our goal is to keep them with us so that we can pour into them, provide them information. And again, it's okay to link to other websites, make sure they're good. In other words, secure. But do them strategically in the content so that they still get more of what you're trying to offer them, so they want to stay here, right? In other words, stop sending them to somebody else's party. Make your party worth staying at. And then they'll want to join your email list and stay connected to you and so forth. All right. hopefully she'll watch this. I'll try to make her a separate, just short video going over all this. Again, not picking on you. Please don't think I'm picking on you. Just a lot of people have some of these same issues or same styles. So I just want to make sure everyone understands that how you do things or don't do things, the order in which you do them, all of that, it really does matter for keeping your readers connected. All right. All right. Come on, Joyce. You always have something for me. I haven't seen your face in like a week. All right. Was there any other questions on here? Let me see. Hold on. What's wrong with this? Facebook's been acting crazy this week. Oh, there we go. So that was all the questions from that. Site speed.
Hey, Leanne.
Yes, ma'am.
I just have another quick question. The reason I can't be on is because I'm getting company in just a bit, so I'm trying to prepare for that. But since you have time, I had a question about the boot camp coming up, so I'm going to be in it this time. Very excited about it, and but I've kind of stopped being active on my website. Well, I have the DV theme, so I'm trying to, work through that and get that all off. And, but should I continue to post or should I just kind of put, oh, good.
Yeah.
See, I like your answer.
Well, because the truth is that what you're doing now is wrong. Right. In other words, the way you're doing it, right? Like, yeah. Which is why you're coming to the class, so that you can learn the right way. And so why continue doing something wrong that's going to add more to your I need to fix list later?
Right.
Yeah. Actually, during the first orientation call, that is going to be one of my, it's not a directive. I mean, I'm not like the boss or anything, but my things that I tell everyone in the first class is, for the duration of this course, I would encourage you to not publish any new content on your site. Just work on what we are doing each week. Because if you keep publishing new stuff and you're still publishing the way you've been publishing, which obviously isn't bringing any organic traffic to your site, that's falls under the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. Right. And so, plus, if you're not fretting over, oh, I've got to get a blog post out on Monday. If you're not fretting over all that, then you're going to be paying attention and fully engaged to actually learning what you should be doing. Plus, like in your case, you do have a lot of stuff to fix, like trying to get Divi out and get whatever new thing you're going to do. And so it's no point to publish content that is never going to rank on page one. There's just no point to it. Some people always tell me, I've had students say, well, what about my email list? Like, what about my followers? I'm like, okay, this isn't like a rock concert where the groupies all camp out outside the arena for like a week waiting for you to like sing a song. Right. As much as we'd love to think we have like blog groupies, that's just not how it works. Now you may have a few people who are like, hey, you didn't publish anything today. What's up? I've actually had that happen, but that's a rarity. People find you because they go to Google to search for what they're looking for. That's how they find you. So if you have an email list, just email them. You don't have to publish a post to email your people. Just those daily promptings that you may feel, asking for prayers, whatever, just do that. Link to something old. I mean, but you don't need to publish something new just to keep your subscribers happy. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's what I was hoping, because I haven't posted for the last couple of weeks, maybe 3. And that's what I was hoping your answer was going to be. So.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Minimal, like work, spend your time doing things that are going to have an impact. Getting your site aligned, in other words, the
mhm.
theme and all that, that's going to have an impact. Publishing just to publish, that's going to have an impact. It's going to impact more stuff that you've got to go back and fix later.
Yes,
So
right.
it's not a good impact.
And I've got enough of that already. So,
Yeah.
okay, well,
So,
great.
so you're off the hook. No more. No, don't worry
Yes.
about it.
Well, I'm watching all your old videos, so that's taking up a lot of my time. So,
Yeah. And once we dive in, I mean, everything's going to go very orderly. Every week you're going to have something specific to do, right?
great.
Something
Yeah.
and you won't all get everything done each week, but at least you'll know what you're supposed to do. And so by the end of the 8 weeks, you should have most of it physically done, like the website stuff. And then the rest of it will be simply working on your content plan and all of that. So.
Right. Yeah, I'm excited about that. Getting a year plan out. I'm really excited about that.
Oh, yes. It's going to be mind blowing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Trying to think what else I could throw in here for this week. We've been having some really good submissions for our devotionals. We've had some that needed some work. Actually, that's something I could hit on. So I think I've mentioned this before. You know, it's really important that you know who your audience is, aside from the subscriber freebies and products and all that, but simply for the message, what you're trying to pour into them. I mentioned earlier about the whole Christianese, talking gospel to people who probably don't know what the word gospel means, like they're that new of a Christian. And when you write your content, however you write it, even if you're a Bible study blogger, especially if you're a Bible study blogger, it's still important that you keep your person in mind, right? And not just keep them in mind, but keeping, like what I mentioned a minute ago about when they search that search query, what are they looking for? So with the one about rooted in Christ, that's the keyword. That's what they Googled. But what was their reason for Googling it? What were they looking for? What kind of answer? I mean, they go into it with like expectation of a kind of answer they're seeking. And so some of the devotionals that I received, I saw it in these as well as your own content. Just I follow some of your blogs. If your audience is, say, an older generation people, speaking Christianese is okay, right? Because most of them, if they're looking up this and that, again, how they Google it matters too, what exactly they're typing in. They speak the language. So when you just spurt out a bunch of verses, they know, they just need a refresher. But if your audience says you're trying to reach new Christians, or just maybe even reach people who they're not Christians yet, you're just reaching the regular people through that sneaky Jesus stuff, right? You can't come out the door sounding like a Bible thumper, right? People will not, they'll close it. They'll shut the page. They like when, and I say this as that was me at one time, not the Bible thumper, the person looking for the information. Like, I just got saved. Now, what does all this stuff mean? Every time I ask someone at church, they start spouting out this. That's why I love my pastor, because he speaks it in dummy language. Like, he doesn't speak it like a gospel preacher. He talks to us in like real world, like, I had this problem today and this happened. This girl made me so mad. You know, he speaks to us in the language of literally what we're going through, and then teaches us how to like apply a verse of scripture to it or something. And so it's just really important. So many of you I know were pastors or ministers, or you've just been preaching the gospel your whole life, your Bible study. I know, like Joyce, you are grounded in the word, right? That you always, and I relate this to me as a blogging instructor. I've been doing it for so long that I forget the questions I had when I was y'all, right? Like new person. I'm just like, well, duh, why don't you know that? I'm like, oh, well, duh, I didn't know that either, right? Like you got to go back to the kindergarten level. So teaching it to kindergartners, if you will. And the reality is today, even more so maybe than in the past, people don't want gospels. But how do I say this where it makes sense? Don't just spout out a bunch of verses. Tell me what it means, like really, like don't say when Jonah did that. Well, who the heck is Jonah? Like, and I mean that lovingly, right? I know who Jonah is, but I'm saying this is how that person would react to. So when you're maybe writing devotionals or things, hit their pain point of the thing that I listen to Air One. I know I'm kind of all over the place. I listen to Air One every day, and they have they're like different pastors and influencers. There's one woman, I don't know what church she's from. She has like a Australian accent, but she'll like give a real life thing. Like today I was at the store and, the cashier was just rude to me. And I so wanted to be rude back to her. And then she'll say how she responded. And then she reflects on, how she probably should have responded. Like that's real life stuff. So when we're like today, we're dealing with the social media, we're dealing with politics, we're just dealing with people being ugly every turn. How do we deal with that from a Christ-like perspective? That's what people need to know. And so when you cite off verses, don't just cite them off and don't reference the story because this person doesn't know the story. They need to know how the story relates to them so they'll want to go read the story, right? And so I just want to encourage everyone with that because it is so important that we get more people to want to read the Bible. But when we want people to read it or learn or be a part of it, how we present it to them really matters. And if you're speaking a language they don't understand yet, they're going to shut you down. And again, I say this from a place of experience because that was me wanting more of it, but everybody who gave it to me spoke a language I like. I actually wrote one of my Easter resurrection posts is about the blood of Jesus. What does that mean? To a brand new Christian, you talk about the blood of Christ is going to cover you. They're going to pour blood on me in church today? What? Right? Like it sounds silly to some of us, some of you who may have been around for, the church all your life, but to a brand new Christian, that phrase is kind of scary until somebody explains to them what it means, but you got to explain it to them without the Jesus speak, if that makes sense, right? And this is where we are losing people right now because we want to share it, but we're sharing it in the language that we know, and they don't yet know that language. So anyway, I could go on and on and on about that. It's such an important thing for us to be able to reach people in today's culture. We have to come at them in their own, I don't say in their own turf, in their own language, in their own struggle, and not sound like the Bible thumping knocking on their door, right? Like, and I grew up Southern Baptist, and so they just spoke that stuff all the time. I still don't know what they were talking about half the time, right? Nobody understood it except those who were already a part of it. And so a few people wanted to come be a part of it because it was just so like, I don't know what all these Jesus people are talking about, but I haven't yeah, I'm good. Right. So meeting them where they are in their language, their struggle, is just really, really important. So
that's real good, Leanne. That's why they call them baby Christian, because they're learning how to walk.
Mm-hmm.
Are they learning how to, and that's why, we just need to be there to show them how to.
Yes.
Good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the daily devotionals, I mean, those are so powerful because like I was follow like Proverbs 31, and there's a couple of others that I follow, and I get them in email, just like the ones we do. And they're real women, mostly women. There's a few men that write too, but it's not a Bible study. It's not an email that's a Bible study. It's a, have you ever, you know, you have that one friend and she's always just trying to get attention, and you're just like, you're always like my sister. I struggle with this with my sister. She's an attention hog. You go to her Facebook and it's all pictures of her. I struggle with that, right? But if I was to write that in an email, like, do you have that one friend and she's just always trying to get everyone's attention and makes you feel like you're subpar and this and that? And then that's where you can tie into, you know, giving people grace, or, you know, your identity. You tie it to something that people literally deal with on a daily basis. Whether it's a man, whether it's a woman, older, younger. Right now, all the cultural stuff that we're dealing with, people are lost. Like, how do I deal with this stuff, you know? And so coming right out the door with verse after verse after verse, they don't know what that means. They need a prelude to it. Like, this is what's going on. And, you know, it just sucks because every day it's this and that, or, you know, the overwhelmed mom, or the mom who feels mom shamed, or whatever the struggle is. And so I've read some devotionals that were just, wow, right? And then I've read others that was like, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand what you're trying to tell me here. So just, again, I know it's easy for some to write versus some others might still struggle with that. I don't want to call it cultural. And when I say culture, I mean Jesus culture versus world culture, like connecting with people today. It is hard, especially, you know, some of the younger age groups, because of all the stuff they're dealing with in the world today, college age people, young adults, and so forth. But even us, I mean, I'm 2 years away from 50, and some days I'm just like, y'all gonna make me forget my Jesus today. You know, how do we prevent that from happening? And how should we respond? So yeah. We've all had those moments where it's like, oh, don't make me forget my Jesus. But we are all human. So it's okay that we have those moments, you know, and people need to know that it's okay. They just need to figure out how they should have responded so they can maybe apply that next time. Oh, goodness. We're doing at the movies. Do y'all do those at the movie series at your church, where they take a movie and they pull out, even if it's not, they're not all Christian movies. They're mostly not Christian. They're like popular movies, but they pull out like a biblical point from them. I never heard of it before until my church, but apparently it's like a thing. So we do it every year. Right now, starting this weekend is our new one, or I'm sorry, Sunday was our first one. And the week prior to it, his message was, of course, promoting it. Hey, it's our biggest, like, we get more people in the summer. Usually summer's like the low attendance for most churches because everyone's on vacation. That's the highest for us next to Christmas and Easter is our August. So, but he gets a lot of flack for it because, I mean, we decorate our whole atrium. Like one year, it literally looked like Jurassic Park. Like, it's crazy. You walk in and it's like you're at, you know, Disney World or something. Like the theme this year was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I think they kind of missed the mark, but it was still cool. But we hand out popcorn to everybody. Everyone's dressed up. I mean, actually, some pictures of this year's. So anyway, he was just talking about, you know, we get called a lot of things. Our church, people call us a cult. Because we're willing to do what others won't. Our goal is to find the unchurched. If we're not here to, I mean, yes, we're here for people who are already saved, but our mission is to find those who have not been saved. And so we get a lot of flack about this. People come in and they're like, this isn't church. This looks like a movie theater and you're making too much of the world out of this. It's like, no. But if you want to reach people, you have to go out into the world and find them where they are and do whatever it takes to get them to want to come, right? And without breaking the law, without going against biblical principles, of course. And so ours is like, oh, here we go. I found it. So this year was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So we have people dressed up. We pay. I mean, this comes from our money for the church, right? We the year we had Jurassic Park, we actually had dinosaurs, like people in dinosaur costumes walking around.
Yeah.
But people come for the first time. We get more first-time visitors during our At the Movie series than we do any other time of year. And then those people, you see them serving and then they stay, right? And so whatever it takes to get them in the doors
That's right.
is what we do. And so, yeah, this year was super. There's our popcorn.
I like that.
Let me see if I can find the Jurassic Park one. It was My Church Unlimited. Turn off. How do you say Jurassic Park? That was, oh yeah, 2018. Oh, these were just preps. Oh, here we go. I think this one's it. I think this was the best one we ever did. But like the movie we did this past Sunday was Johnny Cash's Walk the Line, which is, I mean, Johnny Cash was a singer and he had a drug problem, but he was, in the end, he found God and everything. So that one was a unique one that they actually, it was Christian-ish in nature. We've done war movies. Oh, here's some. See, life-size dinosaurs. This is, why is this not opening? Well, anyway, the whole inside of it looked like, I mean, the things were huge. That's these columns like you walk inside. But the point is, we do what we got to do to get people in the door, and then God does what he does, right? And so I don't know what the movie's going to be this week, but usually they pick, and they're not all new, like they never do the Star Wars or anything like that. They've done some war movies in the past. They've done movies that literally had nothing. There was like, this person never found Jesus, but it was the story itself, and he'll relate it to a verse and stuff. So again, you got to get creative to meet this generation, right? Our student ministry on Wednesday nights, we get a lot of flack for that too, because of how much money we put into it. We have color wars in the summer where the kids have the powder bombs and two teams and they fight out in the back. We do dodgeball tournaments at the high school, right? They have a partnership. Whatever it takes to get the kids to show up, right?
Right.
And then, from there we do Chick-fil-A night. I mean, we spend a lot of money on our student ministry, and people think it's just like this fun Wednesday night thing. Well, it is, but they get a full hour of worship and the message. And our Wednesday night students is like, people get bussed in from the rural areas, like the people who live too far out. They actually bring their schools, let them use a bus to bring their kids into our church on Wednesday night. Like, it's because, again, it's fun. Church in the day wasn't fun, at least not when I was growing up. And that's why I know kids wanted to come to it. So we make this a place that people want to come,
Right.
and eventually it wears off on them, so. And so
And then
oh, go ahead.
And then if you don't have enough for the children to, at church to get into, if they have it at some other church, then they'll want to go to that other church.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to have things for all of the children.
Yeah, even on our Sundays for birth through 5th grade, that's Sunday school, not for the birth kids, but the school age kids up to 5th grade. We do like water balloon fights, right? We have a big flat area in the back. They're building they've got a volleyball, basketball, and something else. A bunch of people donated. Actually, this woman, her son died. He was shot in a Walmart about 2 years ago. They attended our church. It was a horrible, horrible thing. he was killed. Well, I guess the life insurance or whatever, they donated part of it to the church because he enjoyed sports so much. And so then other people donated in. So now my church is one where the student ministry is. We have multiple campuses. So ours is here on this side of town. That's where all the students come. So they built a whole sports complex in the back so that the kids will continue to want to come. And now we can do the dodgeball tournaments here and everything else. But yeah, I mean, even our little kids, they do face painting. They do.
It's good.
I mean, we just do so much. And a lot of new people will come in. And it's funny, when I used to work the front desk, you always could spot first timers. Some had this look of wonder, like, wow, this is so cool. Like that was me when I was first timer. And then you have the other ones who come in all, like, this is blasphemy. Look at these people having fun in here. You can always spot them. It's so funny. And then they will tell the pastor, like, this is just, and it's like, well, our church is rising in attendance and most other churches are struggling. So obviously we're doing something right. It's not the traditional thing, but we've learned traditional
That's true.
church does not work with this new culture generation that we have, And so, yeah, I mean, we have record attendance anytime we do so. And so this is a 4-week series that we do every summer. And then Christmas, oh my gosh, Christmas is like we have several services because it's like getting Nutcracker tickets at Christmas, right? People can't wait to see what we're going to do for our Christmas service. Like, it's just so much fun. I never experienced church like this when I was growing up. If I had, I probably would have done a lot less sinning as a young adult. But, my daughter, she's been going since 5th grade. Serving and doing everything, and now she's on the core team for the student ministry, and
that's wonderful.
So whatever it takes.
That's right.
Far from breaking the law, whatever it takes to get them into church, that's what we do.
Totally agree. Totally
so
agree.
All right. I got Tamil. I hope I said that right. She's coming into our class. Oh,
yes, hi. Oh yeah, I was like, I'm sorry I'm late, so I'm like on the back end of the conversation, but I just wanted to come in and listen and see how the Fridays go. So thank you for
How do you
inviting
pronounce
me.
your name? I don't want to say it wrong.
It's Tamil.
Tamil. Okay.
Yes. And sorry, my lighting is so poor in here.
Oh, that's okay.
Yes. But it's Tamil. You got it. You were close.
So she will be joining our class this time around. Joyce was in our last class.
Yeah.
She'll be joining us again. Sindra is she's blacked out. She's doing some stuff, but she will be in the class as well. So yeah, we're just talking about church and stuff. We talk about all kinds of stuff on here on Fridays. So
well, it was definitely very, very interesting, the portion that I got to hear.
Oh, good.
Yes.
You never know what you're going to get when you log on to this call. So
but it's very fruitful. Very fruitful.
Yes, it's always fruitful.
Yes.
So where are you coming from, Tamil? Where do you live?
I live in Durham, North Carolina. So, and kind of service like that Raleigh-Durham area.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I am in South Texas. Joyce is in Louisiana.
Okay.
I'm not sure where Sindra or Elaine are, but we always have people from all over. So it's so exciting to get to meet everyone and kind of learn what's going on in their part of the woods,
Yes.
So good deal. How did you, just curious, I always ask the students, how did you find us?
I think the first time I ever heard anything about you, I was doing a search on Google about SEO, and you came up that way, and then I kind of read a little bit, and it might have been some months later, and I must have searched something else, and you came up again. I was like, I remember her face from like looking at her blog, like, okay, this is the same person. And so I kind of just navigated into it that way, and I've gotten on your mailing list, and I was like, I need to take this course. And so kind of just kind of decided, okay, I'm tired of like, playing around. I need to do like a SEO or a serious SEO course, and hopefully you can help me answer one of the biggest questions I have in the world about my website, which is whether to separate my blog out from my coaching business. But hopefully that'll show up through the discussion too.
Okay. Well, we can talk about that now if you want. I mean,
Oh, okay. Look, I didn't know. Look, okay, yeah. I was like, no. I was like, I have a I've battled with it, and I spent a lot of time kind of revamping everything up for my website and everything. But one of the biggest things is, of course, coaching is a paid portion, but the blog itself is for motivation and inspiration, and so. I sometimes feel like it kind of gets buried because if you go to my website, you see a lot about the coaching. So I just was like,
what is your website?
It's inclinationlife.com.
Share screen.
And I was like, I kind of wanted to know that so I can while we're in the course, I can fix it if I need to.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna just stalk you a bit here.
Okay.
So, okay, and I get this question a lot. So, I mean, there's as to whether you need to do it. I mean, it really can go both ways. Like, you can have your coaching site. What a lot of people do is separate it so they have their blog that has a blog name, that has a blog purpose. Because the biggest thing with driving traffic to your coaching, like everything on here needs to be about coaching and mindset. And you eventually run out of topics that people are Googling that you write about, right? Not to say you can't have a blog on here, but doing the research to find what kind of things, again, if people are Googling something, not always Christian mindset coach, but other things that they might want or need a coach, and that could be interjected into the content somewhere as a, hey, if you need help with this, whatever. But you also want to look at what your long-term goal is with the blog, because a blog itself, if you're looking for something to generate income at some point, to also be like a ministry, having the blog by itself with its own name, separate from the coaching, might also be is an option. And so whether to do it or not, I mean, there's really not a right answer. It's just if you're going to do it all on this one, which I will tell you, doing one blog is so much easier than managing more than one, because I'm doing like 3 blogs right now. You just need to doing the research, and we're going to do a whole lesson on doing like competitor research, figuring out what type of content to be publishing. And ultimately that comes to, is there anything on the blog yet? That link's not working.
It's not working. Okay, just click it should be, but okay, maybe that's a broken link. I don't see anything moving down there, but I was like, if you click Inclination Life, it should take you over to the blog still.
Hold on, I think my page is frozen. Oh, my thing is frozen, that's why. What's wrong with all this? Close. Let's try that again. There we go.
As you can see, I have not been consistently blogging lately.
Well, yeah, and none of the blog content is ranking right now either, so that's
okay.
So what we'll dive into is, well, one, what you should be writing about.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing people often get confused, not confused, they just don't really know. So, you know, when we read an article from like a magazine, online magazine, it has sort of a creative topic or creative title, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, magazines get traffic just because they're magazines, right? People follow them for all, I mean, they market whatever. But us little old bloggers, we're not famous yet. And so people don't follow us just to follow us. So our job is to write stuff that is not creative. It's not creative writing. It's not whatever I was like, my opinions, my thoughts, or those creative titles that only look good on books, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's to literally answer search queries. If someone's looking for, you know, how to have faith in God through a storm, or how to study the Bible, or Bible verses about this or that, right? It's the stuff people Google. And so figuring out the stuff that people Google that somewhat relates to your overall ministry's purpose,
Mm-hmm.
that could also funnel them towards the coaching.
Okay.
And that might sound like kind of like technical in advance, but it's really not.
No, it makes absolute sense. I mean, it makes, which is why I hope that's one of the questions that I'll get answered, because I've had them separate, but I brought them back together. But and one of the reasons is because I hope to at some point take the blogging portion over into more of a nonprofit. I also have a broadcast that I do on Monday nights that goes along with this. So it's really just about faith and inspiration and motivating women. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to separate them, because one side of it is totally different from the other side. But I know that I always can put some links in there to lead over to my coaching, you know, where it fits in.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Like, if you, some people do, since it is your name
Mm-hmm.
for your platform, to keep that separate, not have a blog built into that domain. Oh my goodness. Have your blog on its own domain, that
Mm-hmm.
it has its own name and everything. And then on the website, that is the blog's website, you
Mm-hmm.
just link to a work with me or whatever, right? And then that
Okay.
links over to this page. Then your coaching site, you don't really have to do a lot of work on it. Like, it's
Right.
more just a business page, if not, so to speak. Then all of your actual efforts would be towards pumping out the content on the blog site.
Okay. Gotcha.
And you would probably get much more traffic to it that way, because you have it, you know, the name is not your name, because titles and names in SEO do matter to some extent. I mean, they're not like a break all end all, but usually with a person's name, you want to keep that specific to their actual business, whether it's coaching or, you know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so, plus, again, minimizing the workload, it would probably be, you would probably get more, it would be fruitful much faster when it was separated from the business side of it.
Got it. Okay. I understand.
Yeah. So, I mean, and
that's an easy fix.
and then, you know, once you get the blog, like that domain set up and that website set up, that would be a lot of what we do in the class, is laying out the categories of the content, understanding those lines, keeping them aligned, and then the content that you should be publishing in each of those categories. And then of course your navigation would have a link over to this site, the coaching site.
Got it. Okay. All right. Perfect.
Yeah, I have another girl, Gabe. Hers is Red Hot Mindset. She is also kind of motivational coaching.
Mm-hmm.
She has some other stuff too, a little different from what I could see from yours. She's doing the blog on hers, keeping them together, but well, here's hers. So hers looks more like a blog. She has
Okay.
a podcast. So this is, again, another way to go about doing it.
Mhm.
It's just, again, when someone lands on the site, what do you want them to see? In her case, it's not her coaching that they see first, but I would think in your platform, because it is your name, you would want the landing page to literally be you and what your offer is in the coaching kind of arena. So, and that's why I would say for yours, it would probably be better to have two.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. That was my thought. I just wanted to wait till I got into class and ask.
Yeah, well, we weren't talking about anything other than church.
Well, look, I'm glad I popped in. I'm glad I got to pop in. Then that definitely answers my questions and gives me some little quick homework to do. That way, I'll be prepped for when we get ready to start working. Now, I am on Squarespace, which I know you do a lot of WordPress. So, am I still gonna be okay?
Yes, it should be. The big thing, actually, the big thing right now is, so I've had a Squarespace user in the past. Actually, she's in my membership now. She's actually in the process of converting over to WordPress because of the recent, okay, let me answer the first question. So the course itself is twofold. One is the physical setting up of your site, the laying out of it, not the setup, but the layout. So navigation, back into SEO setting. And so when I teach that, obviously I'm teaching it where to do it in WordPress. So anyone not on WordPress would have to revert to their, like the Squarespace tutorials to figure out how to do that on yours, right? Now, we talk about a lot of plugins and things, and I know you can't put plugins on Squarespace. So there's some things that won't apply, but when it gets to the meat and potatoes of how to research your audience, how to write a blog post, how to, all of that, it doesn't matter what platform you're on, it's the same.
Okay.
However, the reason she is now converting over to WordPress, the most recent, so Google does its updates a couple of times a year. The most recent one was a huge update called Web Core Vitals. And that is basically a grade of your site for page loading, but also there's factors for user experience and things. And so if you cannot pass Web Core Vitals, no matter how great your SEO is, Google will not rank you. I actually lost a lot because I kept ignoring the warning saying your page is loading slow. And they kept telling us it was rolling out, and I was like, oh, whatever. And then it rolled out, and I dropped like a lot of traffic, keywords that I lost. And so now it's on the back to the uptick because I got it under control. But this is a huge, like this is like more important than SEO right now.
Okay.
And so with her, again, so for us, like Squarespace said that they're doing the optimization on their end, but everyone I've talked to using Squarespace, and of course I don't talk to everyone on Squarespace, but the few people I have spoken to have not been able to get Squarespace sites up to par.
Okay.
Like again, how it's built and all of that. So with WordPress, there's 2 plugins we can install that are optimizers that do all that stuff for those of us who don't know coding. That was the reason she switched over. So that is just something you're going to have to kind of maybe read up on, speak to Squarespace and say, hey, how are y'all dealing with Web Core Vitals?
Okay.
She, no matter what she tried after speaking with them, was still not able to pass at least one of these little things with the blue. A lot of these things that are showing up, the plugins that we're able to use fix all of that.
Okay.
And so that is just something normally in the past classes, I'm like, oh, Squarespace, Wix, whatever. It doesn't matter as long as you know how to write. Unfortunately, this June, it actually rolled out in June, changed the conversation on that. And so a lot of developers for the different platforms, different plugins, different everything are now having to do updates on their own products to ensure that their products aren't so heavy on CSS and stuff that it's not able to pass the Web Core Vitals. Because if it can't pass it, people aren't going to buy it, right?
Right.
So that's just something you might want to ponder over before we really get into the class. reach out to Squarespace and find out what they're doing. If there are, I know there's a Squarespace group on Facebook, like for Squarespace users to get tech support on Squarespace. I would join that and see what the conversation is going. Are people able to, how they're able to maneuver? Because I know y'all are limited. Like we can just install plugins. Y'all are just, what you got is what you got, and they do it in the back. And that can be a problem. If you can't pass this, nothing that we talk about in the class is going to help, because no matter how well you write the content and all of that,
right,
you will still be penalized because your site is not passing Google's Web Core Vitals.
okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Again,
Well,
just
I'll have to do a little, I'll have to do, I mean, I tried WordPress before, but I think coming from Squarespace over to WordPress to set up a site was like,
it's
oh,
different.
this is different. Yeah.
But
And
if you
so,
do it, this time you'll have me.
right.
And I make it super easy. And if I can't help you figure it out, I just say, give me your login and I'll go in and do it for you.
Okay, perfect. Because I was like, yeah, I was just getting so stuck, and I was like, I don't have time to figure this out.
Yeah, it's a learning curve in WordPress, but once you figure it out, then you're just like, oh. And there are some technical things much different than how it is in those other platforms, but in the long term, and this isn't me just saying it because I like WordPress, just having students of different platforms in every class, WordPress in the long run, more sites on WordPress have ranked on page 1. Well, that was before this new update. Now it seems all the non-WordPress spaces are falling in rankings. So again, something you want to consider, but I will totally walk you through every step of setting up a new site if you choose to go that route.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, all right. All right, well, I don't know. What else do you want to talk about? We got about 15 minutes left. Anybody? Joyce, you always have something for me.
Somewhat quiet today.
So now, do you ever talk about, I'm one of these people that I do social media, but I try to minimize how much I have to do. So do we in your class, I know we're going to talk about the SEO, and we're going to talk about Pinterest, but I noticed when looking at yours that you're on your Instagram, you hadn't posted in a while. So do you even use that hardly at all?
Yeah, so this is the world according to Leanne.
Okay.
So with content sites, so blogs, a content website, what we do. So you have search and you have social, right? So search engines are like Google, Yahoo, Bing. People go to Google and they look for something. They find our content because they were looking for it. Social media, you build audiences there and so forth. And Pinterest, well, Pinterest is like the redheaded stepchild. Like we don't even know what Pinterest is doing this week because it's crazy. Pinterest is a search engine, but Pinterest can't leave Pinterest well enough alone for Pinterest to work for people anymore. Like it's really not a productive use of time right now. It could get back to being one, but right now it's not. So the thing is, you want to build one platform first. I'm all about foundations. So build your blog before you try to build an email list, before you try to make products, before you try to build a social platform, because everything you do requires a plan. What people how people search Google is different than what they go to Facebook for. It's different than even from Facebook to Twitter to Instagram, people go to those places for different reasons, like what they want from it. And so that's one. It's what you do in one does not carry over to the others equally. Like each one, you have to do it differently. And so starting with a blog, getting traffic, then like encouraging your subscribers to join you on social media, that's fine. But if you're trying to build a social platform at the same time as building your blog, it will drive you crazy because social media is not a search engine. It's a what's in my scroll when I log on kind of thing. And so from a point of view of, I always ask, what is your goal? What is your goal with the email list? What is your goal with building Twitter? What is your, right? Like Don't do it just because everyone says to do it. What is your goal in that place? If you have a Facebook group, that's much more fruitful than a Facebook page because the algorithm on Facebook treats them differently, right? And so if you have a group, like say a Bible study group or a coaching group even, where you can occasionally drop a link to content from your site to encourage them, that will generate the link. So the goal for me, my goal is always traffic. Anything I do, how is it bringing traffic to my site, right? Instagram doesn't bring traffic to your site, right? Because you can't put links there. Instagram is changing right now. There's going through some changes, but it's more of a, hey, just look at pretty pictures, and you can engage there and do videos. But if you spend too much time there, you're not getting anything back as far as your site, which is your goal, right?
Right.
Twitter and Facebook, again, groups on Facebook are much more fruitful than pages unless you pay. And I don't believe in giving Facebook any money, just throwing that out there. Twitter can bring traffic, but you got to constantly share it. Like you got to put it on repeat, right? Because Twitter is there and then it's gone, there and then it's gone. So it takes a little more work. And so you got to at some point look at how much time did I spend scheduling all that stuff? How much traffic did I actually get from all that time? And so I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying you got to have one foundation, give it your all before you start another foundation. I used Instagram at one time to share, like when we were actively going to church, I would take pictures from church, but it was more for me just sharing pictures, like a picture, like, hey, look at my pictures, right? I wasn't really building any kind of audience except people like hearting it. Now I have my Facebook group, this one, where I share my blogging tips posts when people ask questions, but I don't use it to spread my faith content. So for me, this Facebook group is actually, so all of Kingdom Bloggers gets about 100,000 visits a month. Almost 99% of that is from faith organic searches, not blogging. So I get my blogging traffic from my Facebook group, from my courses and so forth, right? So it just amounts to one, what is your goal with it? You absolutely don't have to have it. Because if you notice, I have a Facebook page, I have a Twitter now. I actually had one, I deleted it because I got mad at Twitter and then I opened it up again. But I am not active on any of them. If you look at my analytics, this much traffic comes from all social platforms combined, right? So the point being, to be successful as far as growing your traffic, social media is more of a nuts and cherries kind of thing, right? It's the extra that's great to have, but it's okay if you don't have it. But we do have a resident guru who does specialize in Twitter and Facebook. Her name's Jessie Sinan. She has a Facebook group. She's part of my membership. And so we utilize her to, like, for people who are building those platforms, like that's her, like I'm SEO, that's my jam. Social media is her jam for Christian ministries.
Okay, awesome.
But yeah, but it's just important. I'm the contradictory to all the other blogging bloggers. Please don't try to do it all. Instead of, you need this, and this when you're blogging, like you got to start an email list from day one. You got to do this. No, you don't. I'm telling you, you absolutely do not. Give yourself a break and permission to just say no to all those things. That way you have the time and the energy to actually do the thing that matters for your ministry and what you're trying to accomplish. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, doing all things, just don't. Because that's the thing, people like,
I totally agree. Like, I totally agree. But I was like, everybody you talk to, they're like, no, you need to do. And I'm like, I don't want to do all of those.
and that's it. It's giving yourself permission to say no. And most people don't because you're right. Everyone says, every course you take tells you got to start email list from day one. You got to do this. But if you don't know what you're doing there, what was the point in doing it? Like, exactly. I've had people tell me, I said, well, so what is your goal with your email list? Well, I don't know. People just said I needed one. Okay, well, what are you hoping to accomplish from it? Well, I don't know. People just said, start your email list from day one. I'm like, okay, well, if people told you to jump off a building, would you do that too? Like anything you do, you got to know what your goal is. Like, don't spend time and energy if you don't know how to gauge the success, like ROI, return on the investment, time investment for everything you do. How is that affecting your bottom line? In this case, whatever your goal is. So for me, it was always traffic. And that's like a year one goal is traffic, traffic, traffic. Year two should have another different goal, but all those goals need to be in a very specific order for them to really be fruitful. And again, that's contradictory to what all the other bloggers teach, but it makes us have so much less gray hair in the end, and we're so much more fruitful in everything that we're doing.
Thank you.
All right. Well, it's about going to be 12 o'clock, so I need to do my Friday errands today. We're having nice wind, so it's not as hot as it has been being. So get some sun today.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm so excited. We're finally taking a family vacation. We need to, since we moved, well, I came from Spain in 2010. I went camping like once, and then we haven't done anything. I have my dog, so it makes it hard. And then COVID happened. So I was like, you know what? We're going somewhere. And so I found an Airbnb it's in New Braunfels, which is like our Guadalupe River. People go tubing. I've never been tubing. I've lived in Texas my whole life, except when I was away from the military. So we found a 2-bedroom house right on the river. Like the back door opens up to the river. It's got its own yard. It's fenced in, and you can take your dogs.
Wow.
And so it sleeps 12. So we rented it for Columbus Day weekend because my daughter's done with school, but all her friends they're seniors this year. So their parents aren't going to let them take off in the middle of the week like we could last year, So yeah, I'm just like, oh, we're going to go floating on the river. You take my dogs with me. It's going to be so much fun. Haven't had a vacation in like 10 years. So there she is.
Well, enjoy.
Yeah. So it's not till October, but I'm just totally excited about it right now. So anyway. All right. So, well, I will see both of you on Wednesday next week for the orientation call. And then next Friday's call will be at 12. So we alternate weeks for the Friday call. This week was 10. Next week will be at 12. So.
Okay.
But otherwise, you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all on Wednesday.
You all do the same. Nice meeting everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Buddy, what's in